welcome back to another episode of How I Disappoint My Parents. I am your host, Kayla, and if you are new here, welcome. If you are somehow returning to listening, welcome, I guess. Pretty astonished if you're one of those individuals. And I am recording in 2026. Look at that. We survived. We made it. I don't know about you, but 2025 wasn't, well, let's just say it was very memorable. Anywho, we are in 2026, beginning of January, and I know what everyone thinks. We're going to end up making New Year's resolutions, and if you do that, kudos to you. Seriously, kudos to you. Do I do it? Not exactly. So I do make Facebook posts every so often in the recent years where I'm like, this is what I have. And it's very vague. Like, I don't need to air any dirty laundry out on social media, at least to my friends and family that's present on Facebook. And I would detail specific things that were important to me that happened in the past year, and then kind of like very briefly and vaguely, of course, talk about like what I want to focus on in the next year. So a little bit on, well, drawing back from my memory that I saw it around New Year's Day. I saw the memories that popped up on Facebook. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, basically Facebook has this feature. Facebook has this feature where it will show previous posts that happened on that day, whether it means like something that was shared, something that you were tagged in, something that you posted yourself. So last week I came across a memory that I posted last year about kind of what I was wanting to be intentional about in the following year. And one of them was weight loss. And I suppose that would be a New Year's resolution. But to me, I feel like it's I don't know, it feels more than that. And maybe I'm thinking that way because there's the known trend that if you make a New Year's resolution, that it ultimately ends up flopping. And with this being a lifestyle change, and I wanted to be very intentional about it, I elect not to call it that. And I'm not trying to discount anybody who's making a New Year's resolution, but I don't know. Some of my goals I feel like is an ongoing thing, practice, something I need to work on and continue to work on, and that's not going to change just because we turned from 2025 to 2026, or at least back then it was 2024 to 2025. Upon reflection, I think I am doing really good as far as losing weight goes without any medical help. Like, and I mean that the weight loss drugs or weight loss programs, I don't know how far back in the episodes I've posted where I talked about the weight loss program that I was part of. So yeah, a lot of this past year's progress was on my own, I guess. Of course, with lovely support from the people that I care about. So that's always a plus. And another mention that I did on last year's, I guess, post New Year resolutions is to make time for myself and craft more. And I will have to say, I definitely got more into the swing of things. And I'm fairly certain that I don't really talk about what I craft on this podcast. And that's mostly because I didn't find it interesting to share with others. For example, I took up macrame a little bit more. So I made a dish towel holder. I made a macrame flower that I was using as a practice because I have this wall decor design in my head that I want to execute through macrame. And I also made a keychain, which I really enjoyed, and so that is definitely something I want to continue doing, which is part of my point, was that this is like ongoing work in progress, as I like to say. So yeah, that is where my thoughts are at. So if you make New Year's resolution, good on you. Things to focus on more in the upcoming year. That's all fine and dandy. I kind of lost my whole point of why I brought it up, besides this is the first episode in 2026. And so I actually came a little bit more prepared for this episode. Yeah, I suppose we can briefly get into medical minutes. I honestly don't have much of an update, besides I did see a primary care doctor, and it was a very long appointment. It was supposed to be 30 minutes. And I had called ahead to see if I could fit all my problems in. And they said that I could at that appointment, because I have heard where if you talk about your problems, you get double billed. Like, the office charges you more than what it would be for, like, let's say a physical exam. So I guess if you have a lot of insurance technicalities on what they're willing to pay for, depending on, the type of service and so forth. At least that's what I've heard, that, insurance and offices can be a little bit stingy. This was not the case, as far as I know. And I was able to talk about all my ailments. I'm getting an echocardiogram for the fluid by my heart. They did talk to me about weight loss drugs, in which I had to give them this 5-minute overview of the last 2 years, where, July 2024, I said enough. I was at my highest weight then, and I know I talked about this in much earlier episodes, because it was such a big deal to me. So I had to take him on because this is a new doctor, I had to take him on a little journey. And the point being is that I don't, at this time, I don't feel like I need help. I just need to work on more discipline and working out more, and managing my newly diagnosed IBS, which I found out then and there when I started describing my problems and my recent ER visits. So I got guidance only a tad bit there. Honestly, I just got the label, and I think we got to a point where I was there for over an hour, and we just need to like wrap up things. So that was that. So I have, as I said, an echocardiogram, another follow-up appointment, and yeah, so that would be the most recent medical minutes. And I'm gonna switch gears there because I am becoming more and more tired of talking about myself, believe it or not. So I wanted to talk about the holidays a little bit more. I know I touched on it, I think maybe the last two episodes of how I was feeling. And since we're past basically like the bulk of holidays, Christmas and New Year's Eve, I figured I'd talk more and let that be that until I guess we get to Easter, where, I mean, for me, that's not much to talk about it. But for Christmas, we divided our visitations, so I spent a lot of time with my family. And that's mainly because my family does a lot more for the holiday. I and my beloved attended a Christmas Eve dinner that basically consists of my immediate family, sometimes their significant others, my niece, my grandparents on my mother's side, and my uncles on my mother's side. So honestly, basically all family members that are local to us, because the other majority of our family members are all in New Jersey. So that was Christmas Eve dinner, and it's usually a big meal, yummy desserts. I brought cookies. I made deviled eggs. I don't know, my known specialty, I suppose. Which, of course, all that was a hit, and it was a really good time. And then right after we visited his parents, and that wasn't bad. I spent a lot of my time that night talking to his sister and his mom, and a little bit of his dad. Can't complain. It was pleasant conversations for the most part, until we started talking about my older sister a little bit, and I never like talking about, yeah. Anywho, um yeah, so most of my feed, I feel like, on Facebook Reels is actually, I think it's called Facebook Stories. You know how every app has their own name for their short video content? Well, I was watching, and I have this algorithm of women dissatisfied in their marriages or being like a homemaker or a housewife, and then I have these really like psychology professors or professionals, or people that are experienced in couple therapy and relationships, and those get me right away. Like, I love listening to that. Have this really delicious algorithm, in my opinion. And around the holidays, I started seeing a lot more where the housewife would talk about how they are responsible for everything around the holidays. That usually the man sleeps and naps on like a recliner while the wife is wrapping presents, decorating indoors, shopping for holiday meals, shopping for gifts, etc., etc. And I didn't realize how much of that is true because my parents is a great example. My mom would go for stocking stuffers. I know in years past she would like drag my dad along, but I didn't realize how much my mom orchestrated presents, gift wrapping, making sure she got everybody's Christmas list that she organized, who's coming to, Christmas Eve dinner, or helping to organize what everyone's bringing, what's being cooked, etc., etc. And I had no idea how that feels like almost a universal thing in the US. So that was very enlightening, and at least the posts and reels I was seeing, it seemed sad because there was a lot of women unhappy in their marriages, complaining, and how that they end up burnt out. And I just felt bad because, that's kind of how I felt. But let's be real, that really was how I felt this past Christmas. So hopefully it's not a generational thing. I guess time will tell, and communication, and etc., etc. Yeah, so I found that very interesting. So I guess if you have any opinions on how people in relationships conduct their holidays, that'd be fun to know. Comment in the comments section. We still have holidays coming up, so, Can we talk about how expensive life is for a hot moment? I just had to buy car insurance. So, if you couldn't tell, I am young. I'm a young 20-year-old. And I have it good to where my parents have been providing for me in insurances and, the medical insurance, car insurance, life insurance, etc. And recent events has made it so that we're getting our own car insurance much faster. And I didn't realize how expensive it would be to pay for car insurance on probability, on technicality, on a chance that something happens. And yes, the saying, "it is better to be safe than sorry," is a great saying, until it costs you hundreds of dollars every 6 months. And that's my thought on it. Like, we were going through every coverage policy, basically the bigger names, like Liberty Mutual, Progressive, Geico, Allstate, and I have to say, and this is not exactly my paid promotion of Progressive, probably the opposite of that, because I'm paying Progressive, and it was the cheapest out of all the insurances. But I would say like pretty significant amount, like $100 or so, a little bit more than that. And we bundled it with renters, so we switched that policy. And again, that was still cheaper than what we had because we had Liberty Mutual for renters insurance. So now we are bundled with Progressive, which for our situation, for our one car, it looks like it's working out. So again, I just didn't expect to pay, what was it, like over $700 for one day, because we were paying the renter's insurance policy in full and car insurance policy in full on a single day. And that was a lot of money. Again, a lot of money for like the what ifs and just in cases, and not a guarantee that we're gonna get into, God forbid, knock on all the woods, an accident within the next 6 months. or at least for renters, within a year. Which again, knock on all the woods. I just didn't expect to pay an arm and a leg on chance. On chance. And I don't know about you, but I'm not much of a gambler. So, yeah, I didn't like paying that much for chance. Now I can pay that much for, like, I don't know, a chair or a couch or a bed because that has actual practical use. And there's no chance there, exactly, besides it breaking as soon as you buy it, which I imagine sucks. I have yet to have that happen, so knock on wood there, where you buy something and it breaks, and now you have to go through the hassle of replacing it, returning it, filing a warranty, all that. So again, knock on wood for any, future furniture purposes, I suppose. Yeah, so that was buying all the car insurance, and then we put him on a phone plan. A third, I guess, no, maybe not a third party, but another company that uses Verizon towers. They have like basically a no fluff phone plan, so that's what he's on. For now, I'm still at my parents'. But we both took a leap to have car insurance and, of course, renter's insurance together. And this is all in the spirit of his family kicking him out of the nest. So, I have to say, I kind of liked being kicked out of the nest only so I know the expenditures. Because I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm the one who looks at the financial books or finances. And so I budget for the month ahead. And briefly, what that looks like is I take reference to the month before. So in like spreadsheets, I'm going to have, the previous months. So November, December. And I mean, on your bank statements, you have the every month costs, every month expenditures. So I based my estimates on what we spent like the month before and also what's going on this month. For example, I have a crap ton of medical appointments. So I am estimating that I'm going to spend hundreds of dollars this month because the deductible has reset. So there's a lot of out of pocket happening until the deductible is met. So I plan for that. And knowing, like, especially if we're gonna have to be leaving the nest in the very near future, it helps me, realize that, oh, we probably can't get a dog this month. And having, like, getting kicked out of the nest a little bit sooner than we thought, for him at least, where these expenditures just felt like they popped out of left field. At least right now it feels that way. So I have to make adjustments. And my point being is that knowing beforehand, being able to plan for that, have expectations of what it's going to cost, it helps me plan better. It helps me think, oh, I can get a haircut this month without, getting our bank account close to $0. Yeah. So I did I guess returning to New Year's resolutions, I did talk to myself that I would actually make time to record and edit more. Um, so we'll see. I know I said that probably a couple months in a row now. But yeah, it's something I'm working on, something I want to do, and unfortunately, I find excuses not to do that. And I'm now even thinking about my present excuse where oh, maybe I should have included this earlier, but I'm recording on my phone because the mic I usually use is currently being used by my beloved, and he's working and bringing home the bacon right now. And so I figured if I didn't record now, I wasn't going to record in however many more days. So hopefully this doesn't sound too bad. I'm going to really try to make it sound as good as I feel like it has been in the last couple episodes, because I had been more thoughtful on my editing. If you disagree with that, also let me know, because I can adjust, I can adapt, I can improve, but I can't do any of that if I don't get feedback. And fortunately for me, I suppose, in a sense, that I don't know of any close people in my life tuning in, but yeah. Yeah, I guess if you have constructive criticism, let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna call it for today's episode. So this has been a How I Disappoint My Parents podcast episode. This might be episode 10, or I just, lost count. Wow, 10 episodes. Took a while to get here, but here we are. Let's hope for a good 2026. If you want to comment down your New Year's resolutions, let me know. Or not. Whatever. And that's about it.